the audio on, which is in a separate location, because I was in a bit of a flap a moment ago, but I've now done that, and you should be able to perfectly hear me perfectly well, because that is the way things happen like that, and when you press buttons, audio and magic happens. So yes, I suppose, yeah, we'll start again. Hello, my name is Lester. This is Motorsport Radio. Kiko Alexander-Giles is here. Just run with it. And you can contact us because we are live and in wonderful stereo sound as well, wonderful processed stereo. And way to get in touch with us tonight, it is via tweet. It's at M-Sport Radio. We are Motorsport Radio on Facebook as well, and also you can contact Kiko Alexander-Giles directly. At how? How did they do that, Kiko?
You can do Kiko Alexander-Giles on Facebook if you want. You can make it a nice public abusive comment or a nice comment, whatever preference you have. Or you can tweet me at MotoGP Kiko, and you can do the same there. Either or, I'm around pretty much all day.
All right, no problem. That's pretty good, and we will get towards confusing myself a little bit here. I'm hearing like 10 different things. On tonight's show, we're going to talk about all things that happened at Silverstone in the British Grand Prix. We'll debate all the pros and cons of all the different things that happened, and also we'll be taking your messages here on tonight's show. So do get in touch with us, and you can also listen to this show again as well, and maybe in the car on your way to work, perhaps, or maybe on the way from work or school.
We are inclusive here of all age groups, as long as you're not old like Lester is, and
Yeah, so, whatever.
Under the age of 60 will do.
Right, yeah, fantastic. Anyway, there was a lot happening at Silverstone, Kiko, and just give us I suppose I'll start asking you by asking you, did the right man win?
Yes, he did.
Why?
I think. Fantastic British Grand Prix, and for the last few years now, it has been one of the iconic races, one of the best races of the MotoGP calendar. However, we had a new winner in the Premier class as far as winning at the British Grand Prix is concerned, and that was Andrea Dovizioso. The Italian took his fourth win of the year and takes the championship lead now forward to Misano next weekend for Ducati, which, of course, Misano is their backyard. But Dovizioso, in recent races, has been up there, and in Austria he led for a number of laps before the checkered flag came out. This time he waited until 3 laps to go, past Valentino Rossi going into Stowe Corner at the end of the Hangar Straight. Now is a fantastic move, a move that Valentino Rossi tried to stay on the outside of, but it wouldn't work. So Dovizioso more or less had it covered, and it was a Dovizioso win from there. Viñales passed Rossi on the same lap, down into, I think they called it Brooklands Corner, the left-hander, the last left-hander on the circuit. Viñales closed into Andrea Dovizioso towards the end of the lap, but unfortunately for him, he never managed to overcome the Ducati. I think he finished around 0.1 behind. So it was another very, very close British Grand Prix, but it was another win for Ducati, their 37th in the Premier class. It was Andrea Dovizioso's 5th in less than a year, his 4th this year, his 6th in the Premier class. So all things are looking good for Andrea Dovizioso.
Certainly is, and I think we'd asked last week's show about who perhaps you wanted to win, or maybe who you predicted would win. Who was it, the person that you said would indeed win?
Do you know what? I have actually forgotten this. I'm sure you've made a note of it, and you're going to remind me right now.
No, I was just asking you because I've forgotten as well, to be honest. I think I said a Rossi victory, and it could have happened. It looked like it was going to happen for quite a long time. Yeah. Valentino Rossi led 17 of the 20 laps of the British Grand Prix, and I think that is the most laps he's ever led at the British Grand Prix since we went to the MotoGP era. I might not be 100% on that, but I know it's the most laps he's ever led at Silverstone, because he's only ever won once at Silverstone, and that was back in 2015. And he probably led around the same, actually. But great stuff from Valentino.
Yamaha back on it as well, because double podium, their first since Argentina, I think it was. Their first double podium since all the way back then, which is a surprise, I think, because everyone expected Yamaha to be right up there from the get-go, really, this year. But teething problems in testing, and then a lot of problems in low grip, high heat conditions in the Grand Prix themselves. But Vinales second, Rossi third. No Marc Marquez. That was another headline coming out of the British Grand Prix. Marc Marquez, his engine blew up, or an engine failure happened around 7 laps from the end down the Hanger Straight. So Marc Marquez lost his championship lead and now sits 9 points down of Andrea Dovizioso in second place. So big gains for Yamaha, but the big winner, Andrea Dovizioso.
And who else do you think, in your opinion, from the race? I mean, actually, just before we get onto that, I mean, do you think it was... It should have been Rossi, maybe? I mean, the ongoing tyre issues that Yamaha have had, that could actually potentially rule out Rossi for a championship, don't you think?
It could. Yamaha are working very, very hard, though, on how to fix this solution. So, for example, they were testing a week before in Misano, which is the next round of the Grand Prix Championship, and Yamaha obviously said it was a successful test. So Valentino, I think that showed as well in the UK at the British round. Valentino looked like he had his mojo back, but again, it was just in that last quarter of the race. He predicted it after qualifying on Saturday. The last quarter of the race is his difficulty. He went with a harder option, rear tyre. Maverick Vinales went the softer option, and the softer option paid dividends to Maverick. That might have not happened with Valentino Rossi. We're talking about two totally different riders. So Valentino Rossi, he is back in it because he's closed the points gap from him to the lead by 7 points, albeit with a different rider now. He's 26 down on Andrea Dovizioso, but we come into a circuit which he won at 3 years ago, and he was second that last year. So it's not all lost for Valentino, but the flip side to that is that we're coming into circuits now where Valentino Rossi has only won at 2 of them in the last 3 or 4 years. In fact, he hasn't won any of the remaining races since, I think, 2009. If you exclude Phillip Island and Misano, that were 2014 victories. So Valentino is coming into the last third of the year. Yes, he's a challenger, and because it's so unpredictable this year, that could work for him. But, of course, we've got Aragon to go, which is Marc Marquez land. You've got Motegi, where Ducati always go well. Malaysia's a good race circuit for Rossi. He's always gone well there. I think he's been on the podium for the last 2 or 3 years. So he's definitely got a chance. But one has to think that if he goes into the final round of Valencia with a 10-point deficit to someone like Marc Marquez, your money would be on Marc Marquez, because Valentino Rossi's record at Valencia is very poor. So swings and roundabouts all the way for Valentino, and for Yamaha, we don't know what Vinales can do, because he's on obviously the full factory bike again this year compared to the factory Suzuki last year. So he's on a much better bike this year. Maybe Vinales could have a good late season charge. But as it stands, I would not put any more money on anyone else apart from Dovizioso. He's carrying a lot of momentum, and he's carrying, I don't know, a bit of belief more than anything, I think. So, Andrea Dovizioso, I think, is looking good for his first Premier Class title.
Well, that's an interesting one. What do you think? If you agree with Kiko, then get in touch and have your say. Dovi is leading the championship. If you're not aware of the points, he's on 183 points, just 9 ahead of Marc Marquez, who's in second at the moment, and then Vinales in third, who's the top 3 really are separated by 13 points. 13
points, yeah.
So it's pretty close there, and
then Valentino is only another 13 back. So again, okay, he's outside of that race winning 25. He's not within 25 points of the championship leader, but he's there or thereabouts. We've seen this year.
Change it around though. He's got plenty of time.
Oh yeah, he's got 6 races to deliver, and we saw last year Marc Marquez crashed out of 2 of them. So Rossi crashed out of 1 of them, and Dovizioso won in Malaysia. So there is a lot of upset possibly to come. We've seen enough of it so far, and I genuinely think if I was to look at it now, I'd back Dovizioso, but that doesn't mean he's going to do it. We've got so many. Danny Pedrosa could be a threat. We know he goes well in some of these circuits we're coming up to. So who's it going to be? I don't know. It takes one wet race, one bike swap race, one flag to flag race, and it could all change again. It could be Marquez at the top. It might be Vinales. Who knows? It takes one crash, as we've seen in other series, such as British Superbike. It takes one crash. Could be injured. Could put you out for a couple of rounds. And then we're coming into a part of the season where you don't want injuries because you've got 3 flyaways. Japan, Australia, Malaysia. That will become 4 next year, but we'll come on to that later. We've got 3 flyaways, 3 weeks. That is going to be really, really crucial stuff. And if you get injured at one of them, that's the wrong point of the year to be doing it. So there's a lot of variables yet, and there's a lot of time yet. And to be quite fair, it's a little bit unpredictable. But I'm saying Dovizioso, just based on form, there's room for error there.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Basically, there is enough time to. I've got nothing else to add. Basically, you're absolutely right. There's way more races to go, and it's probably a bit too premature to be talking about the close end of the championship. It won't stop us doing it though.
No, but speculation's a wonderful thing.
It is, yeah, especially when you got a couple of big gossips like us. But yeah, if you were not fortunate enough to watch, if some reason you were on the moon on Sunday afternoon and you didn't know that Dovi won the British Grand Prix, well, he did. Just thought I'd point that out.
He did.
Vinales was second by just 1/10 of a second behind. Rossi came in third, and Cal Crutchlow. Decent British Grand Prix.
Go on, the Cal.
Place.
A very calculated ride as well. It was. He was he was second last year from pole position, and he started third this year, finished fourth. So Silverstone's a track he likes, and Cal Crutchlow now I think is believing in himself, and it just takes one round and he'll be off. And I think he's going to do all right now for the rest of the year. Goes reasonably well at Misano. And when he's crashed at Misano, he's crashed out of the top 5, top 6 positions. So I believe Cal Crutchlow has a very, very strong end to the year in his planner, I suppose. I think he's expecting to do a bit better than at the start of the year.
So what's changed for Cal? Because we all know for the past 6 seasons or so since he's been in Moto GP, he's struggled, let's say, but something seemed to have clicked for him last season. And I mean, I think he had a win as well in 2012-ish, I think. No,
the only 2 wins he's had were last year, Brno and Phillip Island. I think struggled is a bit the wrong word.
He was on the podium though previously.
He's been on the podium since 2012, and he's had pole position since 2012. But I do think struggled's the wrong word. I think he has gone very well, actually, in MotoGP. We've seen other Brits fail to make the MotoGP Cup, James Toseland being one of them, Michael Laverty being the other, albeit on a totally different bike and in a different era, so to speak. It was in the CRT rule. But Cal Crutchlow is the plucky Brit, and he will keep trying and he will keep crashing until he is content. No one can knock Cal Crutchlow for his efforts, and no one can knock Cal Crutchlow for his personality. And he brings a lot of that to MotoGP. And I think that's the main thing now. You know, Cal is starting to become a more household name than what he was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. He has had a podium every single year since 2012. He got a 4th in 2011, so he's adapted well. And I believe Cal Crutchlow has a lot more to come. He's got a teammate next year, but we will talk more about that later, Lester. Yeah,
certainly we'll get on to some of the gossip and rumour mill that Kiko has identified later. And if you know any insider gossip and maybe you know something that we don't, feel free to get in touch with us. It's at M Sport Radio on Twitter, Motorsport Radio on Facebook. And you can just, if you want, you can just add your comments to the comments box on our live stream as well. So this is the Superbike Show. This is Motorsport Radio. Hello, my name is Lester. Kiko Alexander Giles is here with us, and coming up a little later in the show, we will have a new addition to the show, if you like, a new guest. It's Ed Hocknall, your friend Kiko, who will be here talking about what exactly?
Just everything in general. We're going to have a big discussion on the attendance fronts for the British Grand Prix. I will say no more. And we're going to be talking a little bit about, I think, circuits that should be on the calendar more than anything, and new markets for MotoGP possibly. But all of that, of course, to come later, Lester. We've got Moto2 to cover now, I believe.
Yes, indeed. So we are, even though there's a lack of BSB and World Superbikes to talk about in particular. Yes. This week, and if we just let Kiko off, he will go off and not come back on it. He'll take his soapbox and fly off on a huge rant about all sorts of things. So I have to keep him on track, usually with a
and I'm trying to keep myself on track because I want to obviously give us a bit of structure as well, because it's easier for you guys listening on the radio or on Facebook or on Twitter, Periscope or YouTube or whatever your choice of listening is. It makes it easier for you guys to follow. So, bit of structure. Moto2, Lester.
Oh, yes. Moto2, go on.
And a very interesting winner, Takaki Nakagami. Brilliant from the Japanese. Brilliant, because I think for a long time now we've waited for Nakagami to finally give it some and really win in dry conditions. Of course, his only previous win in Moto2 was in wet conditions or rainy conditions where the race got red flagged, and he was given the race win as a result. But no, race went full distance with Moto2. Nakagami was 5th on the first lap. He fought his way through, caught the leaders, and won the race for the Idemitsu Kalex Honda team. Now, the interesting point, we'll come back to it all later, is that Alex Marquez crashed. I think he finished 14th though at the end, so he crashed out of the lead. So that has really dented his championship. And Franco Morbidelli was only 3rd. He managed to hold off Tom Luthi, and his championship lead extends by 3 points. But it was Mattia Pacini who was 2nd. So great stuff from that Italian. But Takaki Nakagami celebrating his new MotoGP contract with the best way possible, I believe.
Just to mention actually about the retiree. Who was retiring again? Who were the list of people?
Retiring, or
who did you say had just crashed?
Alex Marquez was the crasher.
Okay.
Yes, he lost the front and the loop section of the circuit, which is a really horrible, fidgety kind of stop-start section. But unfortunately for him, it was a very easy mistake. At Britain's own Taryn McKenzie did the same. And while we're on about British riders, massive shout-out to Jake Dixon. I know people know who are listening that I'm a bit of a fan of Jake Dixon, but again, another fantastic ride. Top 25, I believe, in the British Grand Prix on a bike that he's never ridden before. So great stuff, and that kid is going places. And hopefully we'll see a little bit more of him next year in Moto2. I don't know if that's going to be factual. I personally, because I'm in the BSB paddock, I'd like him to stay in the BSB paddock. But that kid's got a massive future ahead of him. Listen out for the name Jake Dixon a bit more.
Yeah, so obviously you've heard something, and I'm going to ask you what you've heard, and you might as well just tell us then where he's going to be riding.
I have not heard anything, but I know that Jake Dixon will be hot property anyway. He's really, really looking good in British Superbikes. He's going to be he looks like he could manage the showdown if all things go his way at Silverstone. In only his first full year on the bike, in the British Superbike field. Yes, he was in it last year, but that was only after round 3 or round 4 and onwards. So his first full year on a bike that he's never seen before. Of course, he's not with the BMW that he was on last year. He's changed to Kawasaki for this year. So Jake Dixon, definitely, he's in the form of his career. I've seen him very well in Supersport, but he's really looking the business on whatever he kind of does. And people will say, well, 25th isn't an amazing place, or wherever he finished. I'll look now. He was, that's the championship points, I think. Hang on, we'll have a look. 25th, yeah, he was 25th. So people will say, well, 25th this, but he was only 35 seconds or so off the winner, or 45 seconds off the winner. You know, for your first Moto2 race, that's impressive. If you look at the depth of quality through that field, Nakagami race winner, Bassini race winner. There's actually 17 Grand Prix winners in that field. So to get anywhere near them, very, very impressive indeed. And I'm really proud that Jake Dixon's up there. And I think giving him a season on it will be the best thing possible for him to show to everyone. We know he's good, but I think the world needs to know he's good. And he's definitely got a massive future ahead of him, like I say.
So we get it. You like Jake Dixon?
I like Jake Dixon, and I think everyone else should too, because the guy's got talent.
Okay, I'm going to cut that bit out and use that as a little quote there.
Only 21, so he's got so many years left, at least 15.
We get it. Yeah, we know. Jake Dixon, good lad. We get it. So Taron McKenzie then, another guy who was racing at the weekend. What happened to him? Why did he...
He crashed out again, similar to Alex Marquez's accident, just tucked the front going into the loop section. And unfortunately, that was Taron's race for top 25 done. He finished 30th in the end, 1.5 minutes away from the winner, which is not ideal, but it could have been worse. He could have totally wrote off the bike, and in the end, riding around, gathering a bit of data, isn't the end of the world. He's on that bike to the end of the year, and I think the best is yet to come again for Taron McKenzie. Again, he's very young, so I think that although people are criticising him, Moto2 is not an easy paddock to come into. It's not a walk in the park. You can't just step into it with whatever title you've got and do very well. British tracks are very quirky and different in their own respect, but going onto a Grand Prix track is just as hard. So I think people are criticising Taron McKenzie for the wrong reason. I think he's got a lot of talent, and again, he might need another year on it for us to really see what he can do on a Moto2 bike.
So have you any opinions on anything that Kiko has said? Do you believe that Jake Dixon is the Messiah? Then get in touch with us and let us know. Either comments on the comments box on our live stream. You can tweet M Sport Radio, where we're also live streaming as well on Twitter/Periscope. And we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube as well. And I think we're on Twitch as well. And a few other different places as well, but I suppose you already know that because you're already listening, aren't you? Or tuned in.
We follow it.
Yeah. So basically, sharing is caring as well. So if you mildly agree or even like the program, then don't be afraid to share it, and let all your other biker friends know that probably once a week we'll be here talking stuff, and I'll be looking bemused, and Kiko will be on his soapbox. And you're more than welcome to get involved in the show yourself. It's not just all about Kiko as well, no. Which is going to be proven later on, because we're actually bringing on another guest on the show. More about that a bit later.
Yes.
Right, so on to Moto3. Have we already started talking about that yet? Not yet.
We haven't. No, we haven't, Esther, but we will do now. Belting race. I said to you all a few weeks ago, go and watch it at the Czech Grand Prix and watch it at the British Grand Prix. The British Moto3 race was a cracker. Okay, very sad news that it was cut short by a lap because of an incident involving Bo Benschneider and Juan van Guevara. But nonetheless... Are
they okay?
Yeah, we heard that they're okay, Ryder okay, although I am always a little bit sceptical when I hear Ryder okay, because what do you define as okay? But as far as
okay,
I know,
is okay, aren't they?
Well, okay to who? That's what. Well, that's okay in comparison to what? But Ryder's okay, and it was Aaron Canet that took the win on countback. So the Estrella Galicia team took another win this year, and it was actually, I think, a 1-2 for them, because Enea Bastianini, I believe, was second. Oh, yeah. But the race was mental. They were going 5 or 6 abreast into Stowe Corner, down Hanger Straight, down the wing section of the circuit where the Formula 1 guys use. It was a proper bung fight, and again, Moto3 delivering. A couple of riders that really stood out for me. Gabriel Rodrigo has had 2 poles in the last 3 races. Didn't take pole at Silverstone, but he was on the front row. So he stood out for me, took 4th. He was so close to his first ever GP podium, or maybe even a victory. We don't know because the race was red flagged. Again, Mino impressed me a lot. Andrea Mino, the VR46 KTM rider. Bastianini actually got count back to 8th, I believe. No, 2nd. I tell a lie, he was 2nd. But the one for me, Jorge Martin, the guy can hardly walk. He's on crutches, he's limping. And again, for the 2nd race running, he's got a podium. It's incredible what the kid's doing. He's only a 10th of the victory. So Jorge Martin, massive shout out to the Spaniard, doing a sterling job. One name that did catch my attention though, and I'm very happy to say it because I thought that this was coming anyway. Nakarin Atarat Fuvapat, which
is easy for you to say.
Well, dentures and all sorts, but he finished 14th. Again, more points, and the Thai rider is going well. He was only 3.8 seconds off the victory, and he was running with the leaders. So not only is he getting good points with 14th in the field as talented as this, but he's learning. He's with the fastest Moto3 riders in the world. He's running with them. He's going to be learning their lines, learning where they pick the bike up, where they hit the apexes, blah, blah, blah. So as much as racing in the championship is an experience in itself, he's running with the quickest riders and he's always learning. He's going to be picking that up, and I believe that next year, I've said it to 2 or 3 people lately, he will be a front runner. Might not be in championship contention, but you will be seeing a lot more of the number 41 Thai rider. Brilliant stuff from him, but Aaron Canet, great ride.
Is that what we're going to be calling him from next year, the number 41 Thai rider?
Oh, so much easier, isn't it? It's hard. I tell you what, he runs number 41. He's got a lot to live up to. Of course, Noriyuki Haga used to run that number. Iconic Japanese rider. So,
How does? Yeah, I'd like to hear how Keith Hewin pronounces that. No.
Well, you've got. Can you imagine Nakarin Atarat Fuvapat being in a battle with Fabio Di Gian Antonio?
Yeah, we'll just call him the number 41 and 21, shall we?
Yeah,
that's a future reference.
Makes sense. Yeah, or Dalla Porta, it's a right mouthful.
Yeah, or like in some, I think 90s old Formula 1 games where sometimes you could tell where they didn't have the license to pronounce their names, for example, because some of the drivers' like egos were just massive and they couldn't afford the rights fee. So you just had, you were playing the game on the PS1. Ask your parents. And it was like, there's the number 21 car, or whatever. So it might
Is that your best Murray Walker impression?
Not quite. I didn't want to.
Oh, okay.
It's not my best one, but anyway. What was that? Oh yeah, about long names.
Aaron Canet came from 12th on lap 1. That's how far down he was. He was nowhere. I think he qualified on low 5. He was totally out of it. It was not a shock because that's what happens in Moto3. Doesn't matter where you qualify on circuits like Silverstone, the Red Bull Ring, Brno, in the dry. It's all about slipstreaming, and if you've got a quick bike and you can pick up that natural slipstream, you could make 3 or 4 places up going down into Stoke Corner. So fantastic result from Aaron Canet. And Estrella Galicia 1-2. So great to see Anea Bastianini getting back up there, of course. And like I've said before, the next race is at Mazzano. And he was right in the hunt at Mazzano last year. He went for the inside line on Brad Binder and only just missed out on the run to the line. So Bastianini, expect big things from him come Mazzano. He needs a race win.
Okay, fair enough. I'll put that down as one to watch. I suppose.
Yes.
Moving on, the guy who finished in 13th place in Moto3 at the weekend, John McPhee. Oh. What happened with our John?
Yeah, the Scot had some straight line speed issues, which is the last thing you need at Silverstone. You do not need straight line speed issues at Silverstone because there's so many straights where you need top end. So that led to what he said was a difficult and frustrating race. So 13th, he did get as high as 11th, but unfortunately that didn't last. So John McPhee, crucial though, he's in the points. 3 points is better than no points, and he was only 2 seconds off the win. But that's what you mean. I mean, a little bit of top end lacking could really put you down. And perfect example of that. Good result though from Adam Norridin in 12th. Good stuff from the Malaysian. He's been known as a bit of a of a crasher, but again, he's running with the leaders and he's learning. So all in all, we're going to come into next year and we're going to have a lot of the names in that 8th to 15th, 8th to 16th bracket coming good. And I think that's exactly what we need, is all the riders that should come good, coming good. And that's what we've seen this year with Aaron Canet, Jorge Martin.
And a couple of other, let's call them new riders as well, into Moto3 at the weekend. The one guy who did finish was Tom Booth Amos. He finished in 21st position. Brilliant, I would say, to even be representing the UK, and it's fantastic to see him doing.
I'm going to brace you now. If you think I thought Jake Dixon did a good job, Tom Booth Amos, what a fantastic result. That is what a wild card is all about. Doesn't matter that he finished 21st, because he believes that he could have, if he got with the leading group, he could have stayed with them. Fantastic stuff. The problem with Silverstone is if you lose a little bit of toe, especially on the lightweight bikes, if you lose that toe bit, it's so hard to get back up to that leading group. So that's why you see normally 2 or 3 massive groups. But Tom Booth Amos, what a result. And do you know what? That team, the City Lifting team, were run by running the Moto Star Championship. Ryan Saxelby prepared bikes, and he has a lot of involvement with that team. What a fantastic result that is for Tom Booth Amos, and also for Jake Archer. He didn't finish, but he didn't crash.
Yeah, I was going to mention Jake next, incidentally, and yeah, you're right. He's the pair of them, really.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah. Fantastic stuff indeed. And that's, people will look and think, 21st, and he's 15 seconds off the pace. But in effect, he's not. That, for his first race, that's a brilliant result. I mean, I'm mega impressed. I really am very, very impressed with Tom Booth Amos. Can I just read out some of the names he finished ahead of? Jules Danilo. How long's Jules Danilo been in this championship for? Jakob Kornfeil. He was a podium finisher at Silverstone 2 years ago. Tony Arbolino, expected a little bit more from him because he's on the Stick 58 bike, and his teammate Satsuki Suzuki was 11th, so expected a bit more. And Alberto Arenas, he's been in there for a good year now, and he's had good results. So these aren't no ones he's beaten. He's beaten top class riders who've got proven pedigree. So Tom Booth Amos, fantastic. And do you know what? I expect him now and Jake Archer to go to Motorstar and instantly be snapped up by someone in either the British Superbike paddock or on the world stage, because their performances were brilliant. They were absolutely mega.
Yeah, don't just take, as Kiko said, don't just take the ultimate race results as the indicator as to their performance or even their future performance, because these young lads are extremely good, and of course, Kiko, where did they come from?
Oh, is it the Coolfab Championship by any chance, Leicester?
Funny you should say, because we're always mentioning the Coolfab Racing British Minibikes Championship, and for very good reason as well. Because
it's this weekend.
There is another round this weekend, yes, and it will be all streamed live on the Coolfab Racing Facebook page, Coolfab Racing YouTube, on Motorsport Radio, and loads of other places. And last time out, Kiko, we had a couple of riders. We usually get a couple of big name riders. I mean, Luke Mossey was racing himself in, albeit a bit of a cameo role, a kind of a one-off sort of thing, because he came from the Coolfab Racing British Minibikes Championship, and we also had Danny Kent racing as well at various points last year, and one man that you might know as well, who was racing at the last round just the other month at Red Lodge, it was Brad Ray.
See, again, just explain in a minute, Lester, what Coolfab is. Well, as I know it, it's tomorrow's champions. It's British Superbike front runners. Okay, yeah, Shane Byrne never came from there, and Leon Aston didn't, but that's because they came from an era where Coolfab probably wasn't appreciated as much as it is now. So Bradley Ray has come up through there. Luke Mossey has done the same. there is a lot of talent in Cool Fab, and I've said it before. People who knock these mini bike championships are talking nonsense. Go and watch it, because Ollie Walker, right, was mentioned in an interview I have with Ian Opcroft, and it will be up later on the Picker Online website. Ian Opcroft is the team manager for Motor Rapido Ducati and British Superbikes, who run John Hopkins. And they also run Thomas Strudwick in the Motorstar Standard Class Championship. Now, Thomas Strudwick's off to the British Talent Cup, or has been accepted to the British Talent Cup. But they also run Ollie Walker. They also support Ollie Walker in one of the classes in the Cool Fab Championship. So, I've said it before, great to see the involvement, this top-down kind of progression ladder the British Superbike teams are offering. But it just shows that these riders coming up aren't no ones. These riders are proven, and they've been, like, I suppose, spotted. They have been spotted by some top teams in British Superbikes, and that's fantastic.
Certainly, and like Kiko says, I mean, you go and watch the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championships, because you will literally see, I mean, there's now a wave of riders who were recently and currently, I think, racing in the championships, who are, you know, in the Motostar category on the BSB bill, actual BSB riders themselves, like Brad Ray, competing, albeit not, you know, for the championship. It's just more of a one-off because Brad's close to, you know, the Fab team, as he raced for them last year, and it is the Fab team essentially that kind of runs the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship.
It's a Fab team.
Link, you see, there you go.
It's the Fab team, and it's a Fab championship. That's what you need to know. Make a note of it.
And if you don't believe what we're talking about, if you've never had the benefit of seeing any of the mini bikes, well, here is the Pit Bike Open race, a bit of the Pit Bike Open race from the last round at Red Lodge a couple of weeks ago, featuring BSB's Brad Ray, amongst others.
Second appearance of the season, half a second he was back from the top two in qualifying, and then a significant gap behind to a group of riders contesting the remaining positions. Brandon Payne starts in fourth position on the second row of the grid alongside Richard Holmes Williams, picked up 34 points at round 3, his sole appearance so far, Brandon Payne. Third row of the grid, Will Howarth on the number 96 bike, and Josh Ingram alongside him. Ingram missed last round, returns to Cool Fab Racing for round 5 of the 2017 British Mini Bike Championship. Fourth row of the grid, Jack Walters and Felix Hearn. Fifth row, Callum Wybrow and Craig Walker, who round out the top 10, and completing lineup, Greg Pym and Michael Harrington. So the expected fight for top spot is between Max Cook and Brad Ray, but don't rule out Richard Holmes Williams either. He was also within half a second a lap of their pace. We'll see if anyone else can step up their game as we get underway with race number 1 in the Pit Bike Open category. Most of the positions settling down as they were from the start line. Brandon Payne seems to have lost a position to Will Howarth, who has come through to fourth position. Top 2 spots unchanged for now. Max Cook and Brad Ray going toe-to-toe. Richard Holmes Williams ahead now of Brandon Payne, who has dropped down to 5th position. Will Howarth moving through into 4th. So that's the main change of this opening lap so far. Will Howarth overhauling Brandon Payne as they come back towards our home straight commentary position around Paddock Bend. And Cook and Ray, not much to choose between the two of them at the end of the opening lap, and this is the fight we were anticipating. 0.2 of a second between the top two. Richard Holmes Williams, well, true to qualifying pace, drops half a second back immediately from the top two, and then Will Howarth leading that group behind. They are literally nose to tail coming off 180. Max Cook and Brad Ray. Ray trying to find a way past already. Well, he's certainly willing to do some rubbing. He was looking for racing room coming off 180. Cook didn't miss a beat, held on to the racing line well, but he's gone in too deep around the S's and carving his way through. Brad Ray hits the front. So Ray is the new race leader, ahead of Max Cook in second. Cook trying to repay the compliment. He goes in around the outside of the Simpson Straight, but then it's the inside advantage for Brad Ray through Paddock Bend, who holds on. Cook looking to the inside into turn 1. Just because he's been overtaken doesn't mean that this race is over yet. Max Cook, the pace setter in qualifying. Brad Ray, who has sprinted his way through to lead. Cook just ran a little bit too wide, gave a little bit too much room coming through that everlasting left-hander and through the S's, and he's given away top spots. Brad Ray, the new race leader, 46.4 on lap number 2. That's qualifying pace from Brad Ray. Max Cook, meanwhile, 0.3 of a second slower on that previous lap. That's how he's ended up finding himself in a second position. Richard Holmes-Williams an isolated third. Will Howard starting to lose some ground now to Brandon Payne, as Cook again lunges to the inside, not quite alongside. Brad Ray had a look over his left shoulder as he came down the home straight. Found Cook was almost alongside and cut his way to the inside apex on turn 1. As I said, Will Howard under ever increasing pressure now for 4th position, having got the better of Brandon Payne on the opening lap. Payne has had 2 laps to reel back in lost ground, and 4th and 5th positions look as closely contested as the lead 2. Richard Holmes-Williams is the only one without too much company. Howard versus Payne behind. Josh Ingram a second back from them, as the leaders come back towards our home straight commentary position once again to complete lap number 4. 8 laps remaining. Brad Ray with a 46 flat, Max Cook a 46.1. Still nothing to choose between them, a 1/10 of a second, and Will Howarth under siege once again from Brandon Payne as they come around Senna and onto that infield section. Will Howarth on the black machine ahead of Brandon Payne on the number 23 bike. Gets a better run off 180. No real overtaking opportunity there. The circuit tapers away to a right-hander and a fast left onto the main straight. Payne is down the inside, fully alongside, and makes the move. So successfully through now for 4th position, Brandon Payne. Will Howarth though back through, repays the compliment. Payne ran too wide around the top turn, similarly to Max Cook earlier in the race. And Will Howarth comes back through to take up the challenge in 4th position. 2 races in one here. We've got the squabble over top spot and the fight over 4th. Will Howarth with less than 0.2 of a second's advantage over Brandon Payne at the end of lap number 5. And 7 laps for Brandon Payne to find a way back through. Max Cook with the same dilemma, with the fastest rider of the race so far, Brad Ray, out in front. Both of them have knocked at least 0.3 of a second off qualifying pace here in race number 1. Less than a bike length between them as they head down into turn 1. Not quite alongside Max Cook, but it is a new fastest lap of the race, a 45.9. Brad Ray keeping the pace with that, a 46 flat out in front. So less than a 1/10 of a second between them as they came over the line, and you can tell that Ray is having to look over his shoulder at least 2 or 3 times a lap to check on the progress of Max Cook. Cook dives down the inside into the top turn. He's made the move. Can he hold the inside ground? Yes, he can. And Brad Ray is held at bay. Great overtaking manoeuvre from Max Cook. Now Ray will try to come down the inside into Paddock Bend. Not quite close enough this time around. So Max Cook is your race leader once again at the half race distance. 7 completed laps. Max Cook in front. 0.2 of a second up on Brad Ray. I'd said that he'd had to have a couple of good looks over his shoulder to check on the progress of Max Cook. Now that he's been overhauled by Cook, he seems the faster of the 2. Willing to go so close to his rival through 180. Not many riders have really tagged onto the back of someone else through there without ending up going straight up the back of them. Cook the leader, Ray in second. They are 5 seconds clear now of Richard Holmes-Williams in third. Will Howarth in 4th in a separate squabble with Brandon Payne. Howarth was the faster of the 2 last time around to open a half a second margin. Fight for 8th and 9th positions as well between Callum Wybrow and Felix Hearn. It's another new fastest lap of the race from Max Cook out in front, but Brad Ray sets a new personal best, so he's going with Cook here.
Brad Ray, whatever happened to him, eh? Unbelievable. I'm sure we'll maybe even see him. He's a talent for the future, that kid. I'm sure we might even see him one day in BSB. Watch out for that Milky Bar kid.
But still,
Brad Ray and Max Cook as well. The two big names, I suppose, big names already. And thank you very much to Alan Tadii and TDI Media for providing the coverage of the Cool Fab Racing British Minibikes Championship, which you can see more of and hear more of live this weekend from the Cool Fab Racing Minibikes Championship Facebook page and via Motorsport Radio as well. More of that. Check out the website motorsport.radio. And, I can tell you right now that rejoining us from the Pit Bike Open, that was good, wasn't it? It's Kiko Alexander Giles, and please welcome to the show, making his Motorsport Radio debut, it is Ed Hocknall. Hello, Ed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's the first time we've ever met. Hello, Ed. Yes, it's literally, Kiko invited
the show.
Ed on. You're more than welcome to I'm guessing you already know about Kiko's soapbox rants and stuff and everything else. So Ed is a journalist. Tell us about yourself then, Ed. Who are you? What do you do? And where do you come from?
Yeah, well, away from motorsport, I'm studying history at University of East Anglia, going into my dreaded final year. But like Kiko, I write for the Pit Crew Online with all the motorbike races that go on there. So MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, and World Superbikes as well.
Cool. That's that is good stuff. And we've got more Pit Crew Online crew, I suppose, online with us. And incidentally, before we dive into the next set of discussion topics and stuff, if you would like to get involved in the show tonight, because it's not just all about what myself, Kiko and Ed say, we would welcome your comments as well. Yes, we would. And to prove we're live,
I have lots of comments here, Lester. I have loads of comments about a discussion that we have.
Have you filtered them all to make sure that they're all clean?
Oh, of course. When do I ever allow swearing on such an established show as the Superbike show? It's just not what we do, Lester.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, Paul Clark has tuned in live. Thank you, and hello, Paul, from Brands Hatch, saying regarding the previous, I forget exactly when this was, but it says Marquez and his Honda go out in MotoGP, and the comms are, you never see a Honda go bang. You never see a Honda go bang. I've never seen a Honda go bang. Well, not recently anyway, says Paul Clark.
Well,
thank you for your contribution anyway.
No, that's very true. We need to remember this is not a Formula One, so Hondas should not be doing this in MotoGP. But they do, and they've done it before, just not in a long time. We saw Yamaha have a double engine blowout in Mugello last year, Jorge Lorenzo in warm-up, Valentino Rossi in the race. But Honda is rare, very, very rare, and that engine will be under thorough examination. In fact, I do have the engine sheet of what Marquez has been using so far this year, but I was going to save that for a little bit later on.
Oh, your little tease. Everyone knows we love a good engine sheet.
Exactly. It's just mechanics porn, I think, but who knows? It's actually very intriguing to see the rate of how many engines young Mark gets through each race. But again, more on that one later.
Okay, fair enough. I suppose I'll throw the discussion open to Ed. Do you have any comments to make regarding the engine saga that's ongoing?
It was a freak moment, wasn't it? It was when do you see a Honda completely blow up on track? I can't remember the last time I've seen that happen. Certainly not. I don't think it's happened for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's the management of Honda. They've always said their bikes are the most reliable in the world. So, yeah, I was pretty much, I guess, as shocked as everyone else when saw it. It's certainly not what Marc Marquez needed for his championship. That's for sure. It's thrown the championship door wide open for not just Dovi, who inherited the lead, but the two Yamaha boys, particularly Maverick Vinales, who was one of Marc Marquez's main rivals coming up through the junior categories. That's not what Honda wanted at all.
Okay, fair enough. I actually don't have an opinion, believe it or not, regarding any of that. Should I say that I don't really care that much? Is that pushing it a bit too much?
For the future, it makes it exciting, doesn't it?
Well, I'm more of a neutral, really. I mean, I'll just take whatever happens as it comes. I'm not necessarily cheering on for any particular rider or any particular team, other than the Brits, of course, and the Cool Fab Racing riders.
I'll tell you what, that issue with Honda, not only are they going to have to throw a spanner in their works bike, but it has thrown a spanner in the works of Honda's progress this year, because had Marquez finished relatively high up, so say a podium at Silverstone, he will not be 9 points down in the championship. In fact, I think he'd be neck and neck with Andrea Dovizioso. So I think it's a big turning point. And Marquez now is good. He wasn't behind last year, let's not forget. Marquez was not behind leaving Silverstone. I think he was 38 points clear, actually, if not 42. So Marquez now goes into the last third of this year. There's only 6 races out of the 18 left. He goes into the last 6 races with 9 points to claw back. And people say, well, he could do that in a race. Could do, but like I said earlier, very unpredictable.
Ed, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, Marquez didn't need it at all, especially because the Ducati this year has been performing where traditionally we'd be saying, it will be struggling to even make the top 10 in places. Normally it's just been straight line speed that the Ducatis have. This year, whatever they've done, they have sorted the bike out that makes the bike want to turn through the corners, and they've been so much quicker this season. They've surprised everyone. It's Marquez, whereas last year, once he got on a run, got on top of the bike, it was his to lose against the Yamahas. This time with Ducati absolutely bang on where they need to be. And Darby, he's defying belief this year how well he's performing. He's the only one this year to win 4 races so far. So Marquez, he's gone long periods this season between race wins. So he has really got to start putting the pressure on Ducati. It's more, Marquez has to take the fight to someone, which is a whole new position for him to be in. This season, he's having to hunt someone down, as opposed to last season and the first 2 years he was in MotoGP when he won the World Championship. Then he was always the hunted rider, so it's a completely new, different ballgame for him. So, yeah, these last few races are going to be so interesting to see just how he copes with it. Has he got the mindset to deal with a hunter mentality as opposed to being chased?
That will be one to watch, I suppose. Yeah, it's that remains an open question, Kiko. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we saw last year when Marquez didn't have to go for the championship win when he'd already won it, of course. We saw that he did crash. Sepang and Phillip Island crashed out of the leading group, leading in Phillip Island. So I genuinely think Marquez is going to be in it to the end. He won't allow it not to be. If he has to take points just to keep it open till the last race of the year, he will do it, because it's better than throwing up the street and cutting everything out before you've got to the final round of the year. But he is in a new situation. But again, we all are, because we've never seen Marc Marquez, Valentino Rossi, Maverick Vinales, Andrea Dovizioso, even Danny Pedrosa. He's only 35 points back. We've never seen them, 5 riders, battling like this. It's week in, week out. And last year, you got to Mazzano and you kind of knew who was going to be up there. This year, totally different. It's a little bit like British Superbikes and the total opposite to World Superbikes, which is expect the expected. It is literally get what you think will happen. MotoGP, none of that this year. You've got Johan Zarco, it could be a massive upset. You've got Jonas Folger. Yes, he's a little bit injured at the moment and was unable to ride Silverstone, but he could still be an upset. He was in Germany. There's a lot of variables, as I keep saying, that can happen between now and Valencia at the end of the year. And I think, if I'm honest, no one can make an accurate prediction. Like I say, if I'm looking at form, you're looking at Andrea Dovizioso. But you're going to circuits now where the Ducati has only won at 1 in the last 7 years. Yes, it's a brand new bike or whatever, but Andrea Dovizioso, again, hasn't won any of them circuits coming up apart from Sepang. So there is a lot of unknowns. But if Andrea Dovizioso keeps on doing what he's doing now and updating all these records and rewriting records, he's going to be there. And I think if he's not within at least a championship win at the end of the year, it will be criminal from the season he's had so far. It's been a fantastic year for him.
Well, that is one point of view. Do you think he will be in the championship hunt? Sure he will be, though, Ed, won't he?
Yes, I mean, you can't rule any of the 5 out. Even Pedrosa, as Keith said earlier, we're going to a track last year, Misano, which Pedrosa, on a better phrase, he wiped the floor with everyone in the race there last year. He will be expecting, the team will be expecting, I'm expecting that he will really lift his game, because he doesn't want to always be the nearly man of the sport, which he was when he was teammate to Stoner in 2011-12, and he became that when Marquez joined the team as well. So it's in his interest to put in a stronger performance as well. The top 5, I think, the luck is going to come into it as well.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting point, that you think that it's maybe the top 5, perhaps.
The top.
And looking at...
Luck in the sense that they don't run into each other. They've got to have a clean run to the finish. No one could be afforded to chucking the bike up the road in the gravel dirt. Now, you can get away with those sort of pressure errors at the start of a season. But now we're into the crunch time for championship contenders. They will all be looking to raise their game. But I have a feeling that the fate of the championship could actually be decided by the satellite riders, because Johan Zarco, at times, he's looked like he's going to win a race. Cal Crutchlow, well, we saw at Silverstone how some people say he should have won a race. Himself was very disappointed not to. Jonas Folger, if he gets his form back on the other satellite Yamaha, they're going to be a nightmare for the factory riders to contend with. So, if they get up there, podium finishes, maybe a race win, they're taking big points off championship contenders. So the top 5, they've got to step up their own game, but they can't just afford to just watch their championship rivals. They've got to look back at some of the satellite riders, Crutchlow, Zarco, Folger, and maybe possibly even some of the Pramac boys, Danilo Petrucci in particular. Because if they start taking podium points, it's going to be very hard for the riders that probably Rossi, Vinales and Pedrosa to catch back up.
Could we see perhaps, Kiko, a scenario similar to like what Ed said, where some of the other riders in those pesky other riders might actually cause a bit of an upset at times? Could potentially Cal Crutchlow get his stuff together, start getting regular podiums from now until the end of the season, maybe even a few wins? Could it be actually Cal, maybe not for the championship, but could he do what Ed said and kind of upset the order a little bit?
Yeah, because don't forget, the Australian Grand Prix last year at Phillip Island was won by Cal Crutchlow. So he goes well at Phillip Island. He had a strong race in Malaysia until he crashed, but that was in the wet, but he had pace in the dry. Aragon is a Honda track, we know, and Honda Marquez will go well there, and I believe Cal Crutchlow will go well there too. Misano, again, a track he knows from his World Superbike days, so he's not lacking knowledge on it. He will go well. I believe Cal Crutchlow is a top 5 rider now. Maybe not at every race, but he'll be there. Will he determine the outcome of this championship? I'm not sure, because I think there will be other variables as well. I don't think it'll solely come down to Cal Crutchlow or a satellite rider. Of course, you've got your weather conditions. You're going to tropical countries like Malaysia, rains there more or less every single time we go, maybe not in the race, but if it rains in free practice, of course, you're taking that dry track time that you might need for the race, so you can't test what you might need to test. Australia is notorious for cold weather conditions, which might be Danny Pedrosa's downfall. That's why he was off the pace this weekend, even though it wasn't cold this weekend. But he struggles because he's only little. He hasn't got the weight to get the heat into the tyres. So there's a lot of variables. Yes, independent team riders may come into it, but don't forget weather conditions, circuits, and also form. You know, Andrea Dovizioso is right there and could be a huge. He could go into the last 2 rounds needing a podium and he's champion with 1 race to go because he's leading the championship now. He won't be playing this conservative game that everyone else likes to play if they've got a 40-point lead or whatever. No one's in a position to do that. It's unlike last year where Dovizioso could win or Iannone could win because they're not in the championship race. This year, Dovi is. So Marquez has to fight back. Valentino Rossi has to fight back. Vinales, Pedrosa have to fight against Dovizioso. You can't give him 3 points. He is the championship leader.
I'm just actually having a quick look at what you mentioned earlier regarding Marc Marquez's engine information, the engineer porn that you referenced, which is interesting. I've never actually seen that before. There's. I'm not sure how it's sort of worked out exactly. There's maybe we'll post it later on the
have a little
thing, but I've never seen that sheet before. So. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Les, there's another great sheet that I stumbled across. The attendance sheet for the British Grand Prix. Woeful.
Yes, I was going to mention that next because I'm sure that is a hot topic and something that you're keen to discuss, Kiko.
Yes.
And
personally, it's a bit of a disappointment because we've had the closest racing we've ever had at the British Grand Prix and actually this year. So I would have thought Cal Crutchlow's success on Saturday would have put some numbers on the gates on Sunday. Valentino Rossi's success on Saturday put some numbers on the gate come Sunday. But unfortunately it wasn't the case. 17,000 people less turned up on the Sunday this year than what they did last year. And that is quite surprising because last year the championship was almost done and dusted. So why that is, I'm not so sure. I think ticket prices have a thing to do with it. Because if you just went on a Sunday, it was 90 quid. 90
just
pounds.
on the Sunday, just for one day?
General admission, £90.
General admission? That doesn't even get you a grandstand seat?
I don't think so.
One
not
person,
sure.
one day?
General admission
Definitely does not park your car. It definitely does not park your car. You know, now... Okay, £90, when you think about it, you're getting 3 top-class races.
Don't care, that's obscene.
For the last few years, let's not forget, there's been more than the Grand Prix paddock there. You've had the Red Bull Rookies, you've had some stock 6s, you've had some stock 1,000 races.
Yeah, but it's 90 quid. I mean, you can have all of MotoGP, all of World Superbikes, all of Formula 1 on the same paddock. If people can't afford it...
Yeah, exactly. However, if you booked in advance, it was only £30. So a lot of people, I think, kind of expected just to pay on the gate. And it's a difficult one. You know, it's not the only Grand Prix that's been down on numbers this year. The German Grand Prix has been down on numbers as well. German Grand Prix has actually been a little bit more embarrassing than the British Grand Prix, if I'm quite honest. From 48,000 people went missing this year at the Saxon Ring. Not literally went missing. They were not there like they were last year. So that's a concern. Surprisingly, Qatar has gone up 7,000. You know,
well, that's hardly they're hardly struggling with finances in Qatar.
You know, I don't get the trend going on. Since the British Grand Prix came back to Silverstone, this year's was the lowest, but this year's racing is the closest. So swings and roundabouts. There's loads of variables. So one definitely has to be ticket prices. Although some people, and I've got some here. Sarah Cairns has said to me, price was a bargain because, you know, the entertainment, the rider access was quite good. But then again, you've got Dave Henry who has said car parking charges get higher every year and people just will not pay it. It's £30 to park a car.
How much?
£30 to park a car.
Jesus, just take a bike.
Other people have said it's too long to get out. They spent 3 hours queuing last year, wouldn't do it again. And Gary Forshaw said it was a fab weekend. So mixed opinion. It all depends on what aspect you're looking at. But ticket prices definitely determined a little bit of it. The venue itself, a lot of people knock Silverstone because the racing, as much as it is great, you can't view it when you're trackside. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's not Brands Hatch, admittedly, but...
No, exactly. But as well as TV coverage is excellent with BT Sport. Okay, not on pay-per-view. And actually, there's two arguments there. BT Sport, because the coverage is so good, subscribers won't bother going because they can sit at home and watch it for a lot cheaper. However, because it is on BT Sport, that means it's not on free to air. So your casual viewer who wants to flick on might not... Well, if he sees the British Grand Prix coming up in a week, he might think, oh, do you know what? Because it's the British Grand Prix, I'll go to that because because I'm British. You know, you don't have to be a massive follower of the sport, but because it's British and it might just be 10 minutes down the road, you go to it. Another variable is the Circuit of Wales. A lot of people obviously said that, the Circuit of Wales, it's going to be here, it's going to be there. Circuit of Wales was never happening, quite frankly.
I never bought that. Yeah, I don't think Circuit of Wales had any impact whatsoever on people's decision whether to buy a ticket.
No, but the marketing of it was not as good as it has been in previous years. It was marketed as the British Grand Prix. It was supposedly run by the people who supposedly run Circuit of Wales, or it had a Circuit of Wales influence. So I don't think people were quite clear where it's being held or if it was being held. Now, I don't buy that because I read things and I'm blessed with eyesight. But unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people did realise. I think a lot of people just thought, I don't know, I'm not bothered. So I think poor marketing and poor advertising had another aspect. There was a car crash on the M1 on the Saturday. So I think that put a few people off definitely going on the Saturday. Maybe a little bit on Sunday because they didn't want to be queuing or they didn't think the road was clear.
Again, I don't believe that. I mean, yeah, there might have been a road traffic accident, but if you've already most of the people, I would say almost all of the people who turned up at whatever day it was for the British Grand Prix would have purchased their tickets in advance and had already made that commitment.
Yeah, I don't know, but from, again, what we read, a lot of people turned up on the day and that's why they're paying the £90. So who knows? Just because it was a big crash and sadly, I think 8 people died. I think a lot of people just generally put off by going because they knew the queues, that the road was shut at that part of the M1 for a long time. And it happened in the morning. So it automatically put people off even considering travelling down midday for Sunday, say. Loads of variables, though. Like I say, it's a bit like the MotoGP season itself. Lots of things there. It's not just down to one thing. So I think they all mixed in together. Another one might be, and this is an extreme one, but do people feel safe going to an outdoor event? The British Grand Prix 4 years ago was on high alert due to terrorist activity. Don't buy it myself. But again, it's another variable. You've got to consider all these different sides to what was, quite frankly, an appalling figure of people. It's the lowest it's ever been since coming back to Silverstone.
What was the actual attendance again? Just remind me.
Overall, I'm not sure, but on race day it was 56,000. All I know is it was 27. Is that
appalling, though? I don't think it's appalling. I don't think it's...
73 last year. 73,000.
But, I mean, 50-odd thousand isn't exactly appalling. Yes, it's down on numbers for various reasons. If you look at Cadwell
Park for British Superbikes, which again was another variable, maybe people can't afford Silverstone. And you get more racing at British Superbikes, so you'd go there for a third of the price for the whole weekend instead of 3 times the price for one day. You get a lot more action. It actually works out £1.20 an hour if you go to watch British Superbikes. It works out £12.85 an hour to go and watch MotoGP. So another variable. What, a bank holiday? Was that a variable? Was having it on a bank holiday maybe saying, maybe because it's not Cadwell Park on Bank Holiday Monday, did people think, I'll just go out instead and I'll catch up with it later? Because they know that Bank Holiday Monday with Cadwell Park is a massive event. But when you've only got 3 races, and this is not my words, Brent Gladwin has said the same, team owner from WD-40, if you take away all the support series, watch the crowd numbers go down, and that is a fine example. No Red Bull rookies, no stock thousands, no stock 600s. I know they're not televised, but they do happen. And it doesn't matter if they're televised.
Adds to the atmosphere.
Exactly.
Makes it more of an event.
If you're trackside, you want to watch races. So, the more races, the better. But again, loads of variables. It's not just down to one thing. They all played a part. And I can only hope and I pray that the crowd numbers go up again next year. There were 60,000 at Cadwell Park, BSB. So, weigh it all up.
I'm keen to get Ed's point of view on this. Ed, you've been listening to what Kiko has been saying. What do you think? Was it... has the crowd numbers been going down because of ISIS, because of Brexit, because there was a crash on the motorway, because the racing, we know the racing, it's not because of the racing isn't, is bad or anything, but has MotoGP just got to a certain high level that it can't do anymore, and more people this year perhaps decided to not buy a ticket, stay home, and maybe watch it on TV?
I mean... Probably also wants to have a look at the F1 crowd figures to see if there was a similar decline this year at Silverstone as well, because they're at the same venue. There are many reasons for why they may go down. It wasn't particularly well promoted this year because it was the Circuit of Wales, and once in early May the announcement came through that the Welsh Government weren't going to back the circuit's proposal, then they kind of all went very quiet. Silverstone, there were lots of empty grandstands. I think they were closed by Silverstone over the weekend, and it certainly didn't look good to see that when they're all packed for the F1 race. But one of the things that I noticed, 'cause I've been to a few of the smaller circuits, like Cadwell Park's one of the local ones that I've been to, in particular many times. Croft I've been to North a few times. There's a lot of trackside access. You can, for those people that really want to experience a full day at the races, they don't just want one seat in a particular area. They want to wander around, choose their own vantage point. At Silverstone, I've been there once last year with a friend. We went to see the Blancpain GT races. A few grandstands were open. You could wander around, but marshals were very quick. I think they must be told by Silverstone management to move spectators along to different areas. It's very hard at Silverstone to choose your own vantage points, and I think that must contribute to putting seasoned race goers off.
Could it also
the casual ones? But
I mean, just thinking, could it be perhaps, probably, I think maybe Kiko might be right on this, where he says it's probably a variety of different issues, not just necessarily any one particular thing, because... to latch back onto one other thing that Kiko mentioned, the TV coverage. BT Sport, yes, it's fabulous. It's the best coverage in this country the sport's ever received by a long way. Yeah. But there also is the problem. It's behind a paywall. Now, Formula One, okay, Sky show the season. Well, it was. I mean, when it was on Eurosport as well, it was still doing well in terms of viewers, not as well, but
it's admittedly that's a much cheaper paywall to go to. I think it's about £5 a month I pay for Eurosport Player, so it's much cheaper. But again, Formula One has this over MotoGP in that still a considerable chunk of the season is still shown on free-to-air TV. So the broadcaster can plug the British Grand Prix relentlessly from the start of the season until the event begins. Since 2014, MotoGP has been, from a live form, non-existent from TV. ITV4 had the highlights for a few seasons, and I think Channel 5 have them now, but don't ask me when they show them, because
I didn't even know they had them highlights, to be honest.
Well, exactly.
Channel 5 have them, and it's shown at midnight. So, really prime time television right there. Yes. I mean, there's other variables as well we haven't mentioned. You'll know that I always go on about the Everquit racing team in the Supersport. They run out of Hornsey. It was the Hornsey bike event this year, and I believe Stuart's commented in the comments of this stream that there's 12,000 people there, which is an astonishing figure. Also, the Classic TT was on, where Josh Brooks did the business in the senior, so that would have taken some people away as well. And the Formula One in Belgium, apparently Formula One organisers said that it was the highest attended Belgian Grand Prix ever. So it's so weird that you have this contrast between MotoGP, which is, in my opinion, a lot more competitive, and Formula One, which in my opinion isn't as competitive. But
it's not about that. It's about perhaps, like you said, value for money. The fact that there are other. I mean, we know not everyone is exactly like you in that they only like bikes. A lot of people do.
Exactly. Some people are very versatile, and I know that there's a couple. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but they came all the way up.
Touring Cars was on as well. So
Touring Cars, another.
Yeah.
But they came all the way up to Cadwell Park from Kent to watch Bradley Ray, and obviously because he's a local lad. But they went to the Belgian Grand Prix instead of the British Grand Prix. So there's your evidence. You can like bikes and you can like cars. And unfortunately, this is one thing that at the FIM, Dorna and the FIA and Liberty all have to sit in a room, get together and say, right, Formula One on these dates and MotoGP on these dates. When MotoGP is in Europe, Formula One goes on the faraway races, so it doesn't clash time zone-wise. When Formula One is in Europe, MotoGP needs to be on its flyaways, because viewing figures on television were probably down as well. And I guess they'll be boosted by about 3 people who watch it at midnight tonight. But the bottom line is the clashes in Europe between bikes and cars have to stop, because it's not doing the bikes any good, and it doesn't always do the cars any good. So they all need to sit down and work it out. There's a lot of variables, like I say, but other big events were happening. There was a classic car show up in Nottinghamshire, and a lot of people would have gone from Nottinghamshire. There's a massive biking area because you've got the likes of Chris Walker who used to ride, and he was from Nottingham, John Reynolds another. So core biking areas had other events on, and some people might have thought, I'm not going all the way down to Silverstone because it's too far. Or
too much of an effort.
It's too much effort, it's too much hassle. You've got to get on the motorway and you've got to set off at 3 o'clock in the morning to even get near the gate. Not 3 o'clock, but it's all this hassle and rushing, and sometimes everyone just wants to spend Bank Holiday Sunday chilled out, and you know what, I won't bother, I'll sit at home and watch it, or I'll watch the Formula One, then I'll put it on. And I believe that was another variable. There's too many things going on a weekend, so they should have, I think, had it next week and had a back-to-back with Mazzano like they did last year. It worked much better.
Ed, would MotoGP have been better served, as in the British Grand Prix, if it were held at Donington?
This is the one that's split motorbike fans 50-50 down the middle. Donington, traditionally, it's kind of produced better on-track action than Silverstone. I say traditionally, the last couple of years we've been spoilt at Silverstone, really, for the quality of racing.
But the reason I ask that is because Donington is in a slightly more central location, and you get a lot more people from up north who might have been persuaded to go to the...
And it does help that the circuit literally does back onto an airport.
Yeah.
East Midlands is literally over a fence. The problem is, though, Donington, if we're thinking if the question is going to go towards should MotoGP go back to Donington, if that's what you're leading to, then MSV, who now have taken over Donington, they have got a lot of work to do to bring that up to standard.
Well, they can afford to do it.
Facilities spectator-wise, because apart from a grandstand down the main straight, it's grass banking now, which is great on a sunny day.
Looks great on the cameras as well on TV.
It's great on the cameras, definitely. You get wonderful views of the bikes and indeed the cars when they're racing going down, especially through the Craner curves. But the problem is it's Britain. If it rains, the fans are just going to get absolutely drenched, and it will be a mud bath.
Yeah.
Whilst Cadwell Park was brilliantly attended, that's kind of where they can get away with not having much spectator facility, such there, because it's all tree cover. Donington is open to the elements completely. Like Silverstone. Silverstone's taken graces, they've got tons of covered grandstands.
Yeah, they've done well. They've collected grandstands over the years and added to them in bits of places and stuff. But so there you go. You heard it here first from Ed. The problem with the British Grand Prix is it's in Britain, and
if you was to go to Donington Park, then obviously you're bringing 100,000 people to watch it. You have a major issue getting that 100,000 people out of the place. You can't shut the road because there's an airport. So automatically you have an issue. Silverstone has a dual carriageway going straight up to its door.
Yeah,
so
but when there are crashes on it and blocking the thing,
but there's a lot of, could Donington Park sustain it? I don't know. A lot.
Yeah,
Apparently,
of course they could. You got the M1 somewhere, and the road to Derby the other way, and
you've got to be very careful with how. It's not the easiest circuit to get to once you're off the motorway. You still have to go through You still have to go through country roads, and getting out. People don't like queuing. That's the massive feedback I've had tonight. A lot of people ain't sitting in a car for 2 hours, 3 hours. Took me 2 hours to get out of Donington Park for the British Superbikes.
You don't even drive. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I still have to sit in a car to leave the place. No, I ain't going to walk to Mansfield from bloody Donington, am I?
Just get the bus, a shuttle or something.
I normally do, to be fair. £6 on a zigzag. Take note, people who say to go to Donington.
The Roy Cropper of MotoGP.
While I have the floor, some breaking news has just come out.
All right.
Taz Taylor will be making his World Supersport 300 debut in Portugal at the next round of the World Superbike.
The thing I asked you about an hour ago, I was like, what do you know? And
it's just come out 14 minutes ago, Lester.
Right.
I can't.
Has Taz been tuned in? Is he been like teasing us with it?
He normally does. Lester. I'm glad to report. But anyway, enough of the British Grand Prix debate. Let's have a debate about Qatar. You guys would have seen on the schedule, of course, that I want to talk about the sale.
Yeah, but that doesn't have a zigzag ride directly to your hotel, does it?
No, unless you've got. I think you can pick up air miles though. You can't even pick up air miles with Emirates because Emirates stopped flying there because of the political situation. No, I'm going to get on about.
God.
No. So the Middle East very divided in who supports who, and everyone hates Qatar at the moment, unless your name's Iran or Lebanon. Now, them two countries are irrelevant in the world of motorsport unless you used to follow GP2. But the Qatari Grand Prix, is it going to go ahead next year? And Lester, I remember you telling me ages ago, oh, Keith, you're blown out of proportion. It is not just me who is thinking that now. Keith Ewan questioned it. Now, I know everyone's going to say, oh, Keith Ewan this, Keith Ewan that.
Did you have that on your Keith Ewan bingo?
No, I didn't. No, Ewan bingo, thank you. I like that. Anyway, no, the Qatari Christ, I'm just reading your silly tagline.
Has to be said. Kiko's views are not those of motorsport radios, so just want to let you know that. So
the Qatari Grand Prix, on a very serious note, MotoGP, or the 500s as it was years and years ago, have stopped going to places on safety of tracks and of safety of the country. Me and Ed spoke about this earlier. In 1991, they were scheduled to be the Yugoslavian Grand Prix. Now, right up until about 2 weeks before that race was meant to be held, that Grand Prix was going ahead. Because the country's troubles turned to violence and shooting, they cancelled it. Now, I am not saying for 1 minute that the troubles in Qatar will turn to shooting and violence and mass brawls and whatnot, but if this problem isn't solved, you've got to think logistically, is it going to work? A lot of people don't like Qatar anyway. They've signed a contract till 2026 to host the first race of the year.
They'll just go somewhere else.
They will. And do you want to know where I think that somewhere else will be?
Don't say Iraq.
No, it's somewhere that's actually got a Grand Prix circuit.
Okay, go on.
Bahrain, the Sakhir circuit. Yes, it might need a couple of upgrades for the bikes.
Well,
you're telling me that Bahrain hasn't got the money to do that?
I remember a similar civil unrest about 5 years ago in Bahrain.
And what happened to that Grand Prix? It was put back.
Well, yeah, it got kind of cancelled, so...
Indeed. So these things, it doesn't have to be shootings or fighting. It can just be mass protests against corruption in the government or whatever. And then these things happen. And we have to accept that, unfortunately, Qatar's situation at the moment isn't looking good. I think he'll probably get the World Superbike round in at the end of the year, but no one watches that thing anyway, so it's pointless even worrying about it because no one will see what happens. But the Grand Prix, 30,000 people over a weekend, he's not great, but he's all right, he's doing all right. I think we've got to seriously consider Qatar's place in the calendar for next year. I really do. I really, because don't forget, it won't just be a protest as in the protest will lead into the cancellation. If these protests get so bad, or if the country does go into deterioration, will the teams go out there? Will fans go out there? Will it be financially viable to go to Qatar for next year? I'm not saying it's going to be taken off altogether, but maybe they'll have to have a year off like they did with Formula One in Bahrain.
Interesting point as well. And while you were just talking, I was just having a quick look at on Google Maps, incidentally, about the location of where the Circuit of Americas is. Is that because that's in Texas, and I've never been to Texas other than just flying through it, and I don't know it's not a million miles away from Houston, which is currently actually underwater.
I heard that Houston had the world's largest outdoor swimming pool.
Well, it does at the moment because it's underwater. Yes.
And I must stress, I know a couple of people in Houston, and I do wish that you are all safe, because it's not something that we should really be joking about. But
the reason I mention it is because you made a point about potential sort of civil unrest or political turmoil and stuff, and well, USA has not escaped any of that in recent past, and now they've got natural disasters in the same state. So
financially, again, could you afford to run it? You know, people call me mad for looking at things like this, but you know, you've got to look at these things. Don't forget, there's reasons why we don't go to other circuits in the world. So Istanbul Park, we would not go back to, unfortunately, because it's a great circuit, because of the Turkish situation. You know, it's not too ludicrous to think, oh, we won't go there because of this or that. These things sadly happen and do get in the way. It's happened before, as I say with the Yugoslav Grand Prix. These things do happen, and it's just a shame that it's happening now. We're in the 21st century. It shouldn't be happening. Unfortunately, it is, and unfortunately, it does. So I think we need to be a little bit more realistic and stop saying the Qatar Grand Prix is going ahead no matter what, because Dorna, if they feel it is unsafe, will take it off the calendar. And just to stress, when the Yugoslav Grand Prix was cancelled, or what would now have been the Croatian Grand Prix, was cancelled out of Rijeka, that was on a basis of a lot of things, not just political turmoil. Poor marshalling from 1990. Christian Salon's crash, if you look it up, you'll see him being carried off the track like I carry a sack of spuds back from Morrison's. The circuit safety itself, the first term was a disaster zone waiting to happen. There is a lot of variables contributing to that. But another thing about that was not in the time when Dorna owned MotoGP. Dorna came along 2 years later, or a year later, 92. So if the former organisers do it, I can bet you that Dorna will do it, because safety for people is paramount when it's not track safety. Track safety is also paramount.
Okay. Well, if you're tuned in to this live show, live on Motorsport Radio, tell us what you think. Will there, or should there, might there be a Qatari or Grand Prix at Qatar at Losail? And should there be, if it's still going ahead, which right now it kind of is? Tell us what you think. Ed, we'll let you dive in on this. I'm keen to get your thoughts. Thanks as well, by the way, our political correspondent, Kiko Alexander Giles. Yes. So what do you think regarding, if you have any thoughts at all regarding Qatar, or even similarly, albeit in a slightly different position, Circuit of the Americas?
Well, Qatar has come under a bit of a question mark over the last year, but it's not to do with the political climate. It's more to do with the riders after this year's race really don't want it to continue as a night race, because as we saw this year and in 2009, as soon as the rain comes down, they just can't see a thing down the circuit, because the glare just from the lights just bounces straight off the track, and the riders are literally riding blind. So understanding the riders, the safety commission wanted to revert back to a day race. The circuits aren't keen to do that, because the track will look pretty soulless in the middle of the day.
Well, maybe it is.
Well,
Just turning the lights off doesn't make it a better venue, does it?
I mean, I suppose you've got the novelty factor of turn the lights on, you've got a live action scale extric race going on. But the problem why it looks soulless is that there are no, apart from on the main straight where there's one grandstand about halfway down, there's nowhere for spectators to stand or sit around the edges of the track. It would almost look like just a race distance simulation at one of the pre-season tests that BT Sport will be broadcasting. So there is a bit of a standoff. I mean, it's not currently going to be called off over safety grounds. We can, I think, pretty certain of saying that. The track, certainly safety-wise, the track is fine. It's more, there's just this standoff of night race or day race, and Dorna and the riders want that sorted very quickly. I mean, just latching on to what Kiko said about Bahrain, that would be a great circuit to take the bikes to, because there's nice undulation in that circuit, especially around the back of the circuit between turn 3 all the way down till you get to the short back straight between turns, I think they're 11 and 12. Down there, the bikes would look terrific going around there, whether it's in the day or under lights. They'd look fantastic.
What about perhaps...
would they go there? I'm not sure. But, you know, Qatar, I think, is going to stay for the time being. Dorna would not have signed a contract with them until 2026 unless they were 99.9% certain that contract could be met.
Another possible solution could be, and I know it's not a million miles away, Abu Dhabi.
They'd have to stick to the permanent racetrack sections. You couldn't do the final sector of the F1 circuit because that's a street circuit that they've tried to
a bit too twisty.
It's too narrow. It's not the twist. There's no runoff area. There's no space.
Yeah, there is a big wall.
You leave the track boundaries, and it's brick wall on one side and Armco on the other. And if you're unlucky enough to be launched over the Armco, you're in the drink. So and Lorenzo showed us back in 2010 what a rider looks like when they get submerged underwater. So I can't see Abu Dhabi yet hosting a MotoGP race. It seems to be a very car-specific circuit.
Is it similarly soulless as well?
No, because when the F1 race comes back, it is packed with fans. They have a wonderful stadium complex, both start-finish line and down at the hairpin before the long back straight. So the spectator facilities are there. It's just currently completely geared towards car racing, as all the runoff, I think, is concrete. That's out there, painted in concrete, which isn't going to slow a bike down when they crash. So it's a great circuit, but it's just for cars at the moment. And I can't see them in the foreseeable, for certainly the near future, I can't see them, tailing it if it's just to bring MotoGP. Okay. Because as great as MotoGP is, that's not it. It's just one race. It's just, 1 week in the year that a motorbike layout would be needed.
I just wanted to get back to some of the comments that have come in regarding previous conversation regarding Silverstone ticket prices, or the Silverstone saga, or the appalling drop in numbers in that Kiko said it was. I don't think it's so appalling. Things change and they go up and down. Sometimes you have a good year, sometimes you have a bad year. But Jason said he paid £90 just on Sunday. Not value for money compared to the other tracks in Spain or Brno. Tim Davis has been on. He says the Donington track is great, but facilities and infrastructure need improving. Yes, that probably could easily happen with MSV now at the helm.
Is it an important point though? MSV have only bought the lease of the circuit.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think anyone's going to stop them putting in.
No. But I clarify, some people might be under the interpretation that MSVR can do exactly whatever they want now. So
I mean, they could also lease a few grandstands and put them in as well. But yeah, that's what Tim Davis thinks. Stuart Everard has been on. He says he's been to Losail.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And also Michael Hunt has chimed in by saying Silverstone is just as bad for traffic. you were only saying you had to leave at 3 a.m. To even see the gates at Silverstone. I've done a similar thing, so thinking about it, yeah, so I could probably agree with that. Elliot York, as well, has added his 2 penneth and said £90 for Sunday at Silverstone, add 20 or 30 quid on for that, for parking, food, drink and petrol, of course. You're looking at easily 200 quid for the day at least, and that's just for one person. Easy to see why people are put off, and of course I don't think, apologies in advance if I'm wrong, but I don't think they actually have child-specific tickets. So all of the tickets, whether, I think, like Formula One, you have to pay the same price. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Interesting point, because as we know, with the wonderful work of people in the British Superbike paddock, so such as the JG Speedway Kawasaki team, it is becoming a more family day out. So if you can't purchase a specific ticket, well, why go? Well, seriously, why go? If you're going to have to pay the full £90 or whatever for a child, you're going to say, jog on, I'm going to watch it at home. It's just, I'm sorry, but that is so true. And, you know, it is becoming a more family sport due to the works of people like P. Excellence, who runs a very good team in Superbike.
I just need to jump in actually and interrupt you. I have just looked on the MotoGP website, and in fact I was wrong, so apologies MotoGP and Dorna. Please don't sue me. You can buy child-only tickets. I was thinking of Formula One, where you can't buy child-only tickets.
Either way, very interesting point though. It, again, is another variable. People will be put off by that. You know, not saying they have been, but they will be, because it is becoming a family day out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of them, isn't it? And, you know, we was actually on about there, Lester, wasn't we not? About Qatar, right?
I believe we mentioned it, yeah.
He was on Qatar. There's 2 things I want to bring up. It's a little bit of news. We'll go into the news right now. Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be saying Swadi Cap to the Thais, which is Thai for hello.
Oh.
We're going to be saying hello to Thailand. Next year, Buriram will host a MotoGP race.
Please don't rename the track again, Kiko.
Please don't what? No, that was the Kimi Ring for Finland.
Oh, God. I've got that clip somewhere.
Yes, you have. But isn't it looking good for MotoGP? Isn't it looking good? Thailand on in 2018, the Kimi Ring in 2019, Kazakhstan, of all countries, that is I think the largest landlocked country in the world. It is coming on, hopefully.
These are all your favourites.
Kazakhstan, it's actually, the circuit itself is looking a banging layout, I've got to say. So Jorge Lorenzo went out there last year to give the sport a bit of publicity, and there was thousands of people there. But Kazakhstan wants to said that they want to create a bit of a tourist attraction, so do what Qatar's done, so to speak, albeit on a bit more of a successful scale. Kazakhstan logistically is okay. There's a lot of flights that fly into Kazakhstan, so there's no problems there from all over the world, Europe, Britain, Africa, Asia, all over. And it's a relatively safe country, actually, as well. It'd be held, it's called the Sokol track in Almaty, which is the former capital of the country. So Kazakhstan looks like it's coming on, and I'm going to bring it up because I said in the schedule that we talk about it. India. Why do we not go there? What? Oh, it's the second biggest biking community in the world. That's not my fact. That is knowledge all over the internet.
I think we answered this the other week by when I think I might be half right in saying that just because more people have bikes, it doesn't mean. I think the only reason why they have bikes, mopeds and bicycles, for example, is because it's kind of a poor country and they can't afford cars.
Yeah, that is a massive variable. But don't forget, Mahindra are a massive motorsport franchise out there in India. They are Indian. So you've also got Force India in Formula One. Motorsport, not just Formula One, motorsport has a rising profile in India, and they've got a fantastic track in the Bud International Circuit. So, go.
It's all right.
Leicester, I'm telling you now, compared to some of the places that MotoGP, and I will mention Motegi, and I will mention Aragon. I don't like them.
Oh, what's wrong with Motegi? Haven't they just re-signed for a few years?
That's what I've been trying to ask him all day.
Sadly, yes, they have just re-signed.
What have you got against Motegi? You were slagging the Japanese off last week.
No, I was not slagging the Japanese off at all. Do not go and accuse me of that. I'm not normally this red, by the way. This is just the lighting in my room. I had red curtains and bedding.
Caught red-handed slagging the Japanese off. There you go.
I did not get caught at all, Lester. I'm telling you, I said that Japan had re-signed, and I'm very sorry to say it was re-signed at Motegi. There's better... If you could go... Lester, don't look so shocked. If you could go to India, I swear... And this is not, again, not just me talking. World Superbikes, their big boss there, Daniel Carrera, there is some kind of conversation and talking that World Superbike should go there. But Daniel Carrera, in his infinite wisdom, has said that, we can't, because we're a world championship and we already go to 5 flyways, we wouldn't be interested in going to another. Great world championship. World Superbikes, especially for me, you have to go to new markets, and MotoGP has to do the same. Okay, Mahindra are leaving Moto3 next year, but it's still a great track. People will still go. It's got a massive motorsport fun. It's like Indonesia. Another circuit we should go to is Sentul, if they actually bother looking after the place. These countries, yes, they have massive proportions of bikes, but they have a huge motorsport community.
I'd just like to say a big hello to all the MotoGP Indonesia Facebook groups who I've constantly spammed on tonight's show.
So many.
Hello.
So many. Listen to this, and I'm going to say, I think I might have said it before. When I was on holiday in the wonderful country that is Lebanon, I went to the Israeli border, and I found 5 Indonesian UN peacekeepers who all liked MotoGP. So I'm flying 2,500 miles away to find MotoGP fans. I'm sorry, and that is just not me finding 5 Indonesian Valentino Rossi fans. And I said this to Ed, and Ed will back me up in a minute. In Indonesia, MotoGP is to them what football is to the Brits. It is their biggest sport, and we're mad not to go there. There's a circuit that's rumoured to go on, the Palembang circuit.
Where?
Palembang. I'm not sure where. Looks a good track. And Sentul, of course, has held the Grand Prix before and the World Superbike meet before. It just needs looking after. So, personally, I think we got 2 big countries there, India and Indonesia. Don't know how you'd abbreviate all them so they don't clash, but, I personally think that, two circuits at least, that they're not going to mention Kyalami and all the others that we should go to. But them 2 have got to be up there, surely.
I suppose, Ed, it ultimately, yes, you've got so many options of circuit, and some, I suppose, will be good circuits to go to, but it ultimately comes down to, I suppose, who is willing to pay the most in a bidding war between those things, and it's probably going to be the likes of Qatar, who probably have more money than the likes of India, who don't.
Definitely, and also, if let's say hypothetically, the owners of the Buddha circuit sit down with Dorna to discuss a contract, there's one big question that Dorna would straight away ask the Buddha circuit, and it's, so why did you give up the F1 contract 2 years in?
Exactly. Yes.
It's all very well signing a contract, putting on a race for the first couple of years, but is the infrastructure in place in the organising body of that race to actually maintain the race and keep putting it on for however long the contract's meant to last?
It's a big commitment.
It is. Also, another question that Dorna would have at the mention of going to India: where's the talented Indian racers? Because we don't have any in our paddock.
Ooh.
It's
Yeah. Can I just bring in that Formula One did actually leave India because of a tax dispute in the province?
That's what I mean, money. So
exactly, but if that could be sorted out, it's down to, again, and I think someone's commented, morals. It's about, do you want to go there? Could you morally go to India? And that is a massive, that people think that I'm just being blatantly racist there. There are moral issues if you go to India.
When it comes to these big, when it comes to like Dorna or CVC, who used to own F1, signing contracts for races, money is the one that talks really.
Yeah,
Have
it's not
you
about
got
morals.
the funds in place to keep hosting races? It's why F1 keep going to Bahrain. It's why MotoGP keep going to Qatar. You know, two countries that are questionable in their human rights and stuff.
And Russia as well. They go to Russia.
And Russia, they keep stumping up the money though, so the sport keeps coming back. It's why it's the circuit. The circuit itself, the circuit, because it's so twisty with one very, very long straight, would be amazing to see MotoGP go around there.
Mm-hmm.
Will it happen? The circuit owners would need to show that they can fund it for however long a contract they'd have, and also you'd need one or two talented Indian riders in at least one of the classes.
Are there any?
To make it,
are there any actual?
It doesn't help that Mahindra are pulling the plug this year because they've kind of missed an opportunity to bring one or two Indians through.
Yeah, I was going to ask actually, Kiko. Are there any on the horizon? Any on the? Any coming up through the ranks?
There is a few. Can't name them, but I know there's a few because they've been at the VR46 training camp. They've been at the academy, so they are there. And I do agree, actually, that it is Dorna, Liberty. Well, it's all down to money at the end of the day. They don't care about morals, but we are going that way with morals, and maybe India won't happen purely because of that. Because some of these countries have poor human rights records, but India's is not the best. Let's be honest, and also it's shown that it obviously can't sustain a Formula One race. I'd love to see India. So would Ed. We've both had this discussion. We both want to see it on the calendar because the circuit is amazing for viewing as well. So it makes sense to go there. Again, question: it's 50-50 whether it happened. There's no confirmation it's going to happen or there's even talking about it. But I know World Superbikes have a motion to get there, and it'd be great to get there. I think it's a banging market. I think you need to expose more markets, personally.
Well, Peter Cottrell has been on our Facebook live stream, and he says, go to Poland. The Poznan track is immense, he says.
Poland has got the most dedicated Speedway fans I've ever seen. I swear, and I don't follow Speedway, but the fans in Poland make me want to follow Speedway.
Maciej Ianowski. Oh, yeah, him. Anyway. I know of him. That's the only one I know.
I mean, like I said, I don't even follow. He's Ty Wolfenden. He's a speedway racer. I don't even know. But bottom line is, their fans. Don't forget, it's kind of a bit of a resurrection. Poland's fans are some of the best in speedway. Robbie Kubica's coming back.
No,
are we going to see a push, a more motorsporty kind of environment in Poland? Who knows? The rallying's obviously a very popular sport, so I don't know. I mean, it'd be great to see, and I'm sure the fans would turn out. And again, it'd be another great market to go, another new country for us all to look forward to seeing the bike go at.
Ed, I notice you heartily agreed with what Peter Cottrell said. I actually don't know, to my shame, I don't know of this track, just because it doesn't feature very heavily on international car motorsport venues and calendars yet. So I actually don't know of it, but I'm presuming you do.
I've seen on YouTube an on-board video, I think it was, of Kubica a few years ago, actually driving fairly low-powered single-seater around it. It's got a bit of everything, that circuit. There's long straights, lots of technical corners. I mean, there's not a huge amount of camber on it, but the circuit itself would lend itself to brilliant racing, whether it's cars or motorbikes. World Superbikes could well try and latch onto this because, as things stand, they're without a German round for next year, so it opens up a slot in the calendar for either another German round or a different part of Europe to host a race. It's all about giving these countries exposure as well, because it adds to the tourism if they host a World Championship race.
Yeah.
So I certainly would like to see it. Again, it comes down to, is the infrastructure there? I have to say, I don't know what the economic situation in Poland is, but if it's good enough to host a big World Championship race, then please, let's get this sorted, because Poland and quite a few of East European circuits, they have wonderful hidden gems around there, and it would be wrong for us to ignore that part of Europe, particularly as MotoGP, World Superbikes, Formula One, the core of their season is still in Europe.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's obviously a good reason, probably finance, why a big championship hasn't happened there.
well, like I said, I don't know the economic climate of the country.
That's probably the big. Poland isn't the first. No offense, I'm going to offend someone. No offense intended. But Poland isn't the first country when you think of about international top class international A-star rated motorsport venues, which is a shame because perhaps with a bit of, like Kiko said, with maybe a bit of infrastructure, a bit of investment, there's no reason why that can't happen.
I mean, the circuit, I'm looking at it now, the circuit looks good, but it looks like there's a bit of a lack of infrastructure, so a bit of money being pumped in. I think it'd be all right. I think 5 years it could happen.
Rename it the Kubica track, and you'll have everyone there.
Or if you are Martin Brundle from 2007, it would be the Kubica track. But there's enough of the track news for now, because there is other news coming out of MotoGP this year. Since I last came on here, Andrea Bastianini.
Oh, yeah.
He will be in MotoGP paddock next year, but he will stay in Moto3 and he will join Leopard. Sam Lowe's massive controversial topic. Sam Lowe's, where will he be? What will he do? He's out of Aprilia. He's out of a job there. Scott Redding's usurped him out of that for next year. But he will again stay in the MotoGP paddock and he joins Moto2 with the Interbetter team that currently runs Tom Luthi. They won't run Tom Luthi anymore because he goes up to Mark Reedius Honda and joins the title rival for this year, Franco Morbidelli. Tito Rabat looks odds on to take a ride at Avintia, which is reported to cost him €1 million, which is absolutely apocalyptically ridiculous. I just cannot believe that sum. Other news, Lorenzo Savadori tested an Aprilia MotoGP bike. So is he going to come across? Is he going to be put in as a test rider? Currently rides for Sean Muir's Milwaukee Aprilia team in World Superbikes to a high degree of competence, I suppose. He's not a race winner, but he's definitely a top rider. We've already mentioned Thailand's on the calendar, and it's worth reminding us Finland comes on in 2019, so 20 races. It looks like it's the Kimi Ring.
Are you sure?
I am, unless you're me from about 3 weeks ago, and it's the Rimini Ring. That was less who thought me saying that. But no, that's the news there. Some more feedback on the Silverstone saga that we've named it now.
Oh, yeah.
Loads of people saying they couldn't fault it. It was well worth the weekend there. But again,
it is the best track that we've... Best facility and track that we've got in the UK.
I was going to say, here you go steady, Lester, my son. No, car parking charges again cropping up. So is it too expensive to run?
Park outside and walk in.
But then again, Silverstone is in this situation where there's no Formula One going there anymore, as of a few more years, because they can't afford it. So our prices, because Formula One surfing, our MotoGP having to pay the price literally by bumping ticket prices up to counter what they're going to lose. I don't know. Lots of records, though, at Silverstone. Valentino Rossi's 300th Premier Class Grand Prix start. It was his 190th Premier Class podium after Sunday. His 133rd for Yamaha. Joan Mir, although he had a bit of a disappointing weekend, is still the only rider in MotoGP, in the MotoGP paddock, to score points in every race so far. Francesco Bagnaia is... Nagashima and Jesko Raffin are the only three riders in Moto2 that have finished every race this year. But no one's finished every race in MotoGP. So some statistics for you there. Make of them what you will. Joan Mir's point scoring record goes all the way back to Valencia last year. So he's almost gone a whole year without falling off in a race, which you've got to say that's pretty impressive. You know, that's a decent little bit of statistics there. For Joan. Valentino Rossi could have won his 9th British Grand Prix this weekend, and had Cal Crutchlow won, it would have been the first British winner since Tom Heron in 1976. There was actually a very interesting debate last night on a status that Michael Howes put up. Who was the last British GP winner to win the British Grand Prix? Now, MotoGP website says it's Mick Grant from 75 because for some reason they class Tom Heron as Irish. So, again, make us that what you will. That one will run and run. But I think we've more or less covered everything MotoGP based there. More comments will come in, I'm fairly sure. The Silverstone saga will continue.
I'm sure it will, yes. And thank you for bringing us the news, war correspondent and sometimes motorsport correspondent, Kiko Alexander-Giles.
And food correspondent.
Yes, and also Black Pudding correspondent as well.
Update on the Black Pudding front.
Oh,
and actually for the Everquip team. I have been looking at some spiced sausages for when I get back from Misano next week. So, Alton Park. Get ready, you're going to have a bit of an hot breakfast, I think. Bring some black pudding as well for you guys. And went down well last time. I hope it goes down well again in a few weeks.
I'm imagining that already a meme somewhere. Kiko and his spiced sausages.
No, Lester. I don't know what sites you look up, but I'd rather you not attach my name to anything like that, please. Your views are not representative of fellow panelists on this show.
I'll just edit it so it looks like that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So Ed, what regarding what Kiko said regarding the news there, your reaction to some of the things, and obviously you were listening and do you have any comments to add?
Yes, there's another new rider going up to MotoGP next year. It's a Moto2 race winner from the British Grand Prix last weekend, Takaaki Nakagami. So he's going to be Cal Crutchlow's teammate. So out there, it's... I don't know.
So is it just Nakagami that you have?
Nakagami's gone up. He had a very interesting week leading up to the Grand Prix. It was announced about this time last week that he was going to LCR Honda. It had been a rumour that Honda really wanted a Japanese rider in. Nakagami, the criticism with him is he's not really had a stellar Grand Prix career. Before the British Grand Prix, he'd won a grand total of 1 championship race across his career, which consisted of 3 seasons in the old 125 category, and he's now competing in his 6th full season of Moto2. So it seems to be more of a Honda decision as opposed to, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but the talent base being promoted. It's not to say he's not talented.
You just said it.
It's the Tito Rabat syndrome. It
was a corporate decision.
Yes.
As opposed to a rider who'd really earned his stripes. I think I would have liked to have seen Alex Marquez go up, but perhaps not LCR Honda wouldn't have been the one, so maybe who else? Nakagami, in fairness, he proved all the critics wrong. The British Grand Prix, he rode a stunning race, really, on rapidly degrading tyres to hold off Matteo Pessini right at the end. So it will be interesting, but the jury is going to be out on him next season. He's really got to adapt quickly when he gets in there. It'll hopefully be a good bike that LCR Honda managed to get hold of for next year.
But you're not a big fan.
I don't know what to make of it. It's definitely Honda. I get the feeling that Lucio Cicinello probably wanted to choose his own rider, but Honda has said, went up to him and said, if you don't choose Nakagami or another Japanese rider, the price for your Honda bikes will go up. Or lines to that extent. So, yeah, I'm unconvinced by the move, but...
Yeah, I can tell you're a little conflicted about whether to...
That said, this time last year I spoke to someone saying, Andrea Dovizioso, never in a million years compete for the World Championship. Never. And look where we are now. So if he comes up to MotoGP next year and proves me wrong, well, I will be delighted.
Was it Kiko who said that?
No, it was... amazingly, it wasn't. It was...
Well, you don't have to name and shame them, but...
No. I'll tell you what the interesting dynamic will be for next year with Takaki Nakagami. He's sponsored currently by Idemitsu, which are a massive oil company out in Asia. He's going up to a team that is partly sponsored by Castrol. Will Lucio Cecchinello accept some sponsorship from Idemitsu? Because don't forget, LCR has been with Castrol for years. So yes. That's an interesting debate. But again, money talks, and sometimes loyalty doesn't mean anything. But LCR are one of the most loyal teams in the paddock. Maybe they'll go to the Japanese round and Malaysian round with the Idemitsu sponsorship, because LCR target their group, they target their audience specific to sponsor. So Castrol's obviously big over here, and I think in America they used to have Playboy on the side of their their livery. Lester, what's Playboy?
It's a wholesome, family-friendly brand of cultural entertainment.
You enjoy the bus. But no, some other bits of news. If you've just joined us, of course, because it was very much breaking news at the time, Taz Taylor up in the World Supersport 300 class for the next round. That was said earlier, but just in case you've missed out on that. And also Josh Brooks, obviously, a fantastic job in the Classic TT this weekend. And also, I will give a mention to him because I know he's watching, Tony Morris's flat cap is being wonderfully fashioned by Josh Brooks. So, it's a very much classic affair at the TT at the moment. So, yes, some other bits of news to bring out. Well, of course, we said that earlier, but... Tony
Morris's flat cap is a bit of news, is it?
It is. It's a very nice flat cap. In fact, I think I might have to wear one soon. I keep saying each week, Stuart Everard now calls me SpongeBob because I sponge too much. So I was going to come on in a white shirt and red tie. So I might have to come on in a white shirt, red tie and a black cap. I'll do it before the end of the year. Excellent. And that is recorded.
One other bit of ride news which we may not have covered as far as British and World Superbikes are concerned. It's looking... Today, it's looking increasingly likely that Leon Haslam is going to leave British Superbikes at the end of the season.
Why?
And he's lining up a move with the private Kawasaki Puchetti racing team. So the team that he rode a wild card for at Donington Park at the British Round earlier this season looks like they're preparing to join forces full time next season.
Based on what exactly?
It's based on news that WorldSuperbike.com have come out with. So,
yeah, well, what would they know about World Superbikes? Anyway, so check that out if you want more news about that. But it was kind of speculated a couple of weeks ago about whether he would move away from BSB, and Kiko, you were saying it would be a shame if that was to happen.
I mean, there's a lot of rumours about Haslam, if he is going to stay or if he's not. I heard a rumour way back at the start of the year that he'd already signed. And then I heard another rumour a couple of weeks ago or a month ago that he'd started to stay in British Superbike. So loads and loads of questions, more questions than answers, I'm afraid. So the jury again is out. I reckon he'll go to Puchetti because, as we know, Leon hasn't won a British Superbike championship, but he wants to be in World Superbikes. He's made that very public. So...
He's never kept that secret, has he?
No, he's never kept that secret.
Years ago.
But no, that's a nice little bit of news.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much to everyone who has been in touch with the live show tonight, either on Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube as well. I've not even checked Twitch, to be honest. I don't think we have that many, but we stream there anyway. Thank you for tuning in. This show is also available as an audio podcast, download podcast thing. So you can, if you don't have 2 full hours to sit and watch myself, why wouldn't you? Or Kiko ranting on about political affairs in the Middle East. Then you can also download the podcast, and if you miss all of Kiko's ramblings and such. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Do check out the website motorsport.radio for more live shows. We will be back again after the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, which is on this weekend on Motorsport.
We'll also be doing Misano from trackside, because we have someone out there, Lester, don't we?
Apparently, yes, we do. Do we know anyone like that, Kiko?
No, I mean, struggling to bit. I'll come back to you on that one. I have to look it up.
Yeah, so Kiko's going to sponge a lift to Misano, apparently.
I don't expect to anyone to tell him, but I will never get a free flight with it.
And he will be here to tell us all about it and review.
To sponge off my evening meal free for the hotel, because they cocked up my booking originally.
And he'll be reviewing all the meals and all the travel and all the bus rides there and back and everything.
Bikes as well while we're there.
Yeah, well, we're talking about bikes and whether I don't know. Tune in next week for more of Kiko and such. Ed, it's been fantastic to have you debut on Motorsport Radio. Thank you very much. Just tell us quickly how people can keep in touch with you and where you do your social media stuff.
So, as I said, you can find my writings on thepitcrewonline.net. I think that's the website address, isn't it, Kiko? Please say yes.
Yeah. Ignore the F1 stuff. No, don't really. Look at all the F1 stuff, but the main stuff that me and Ed do, as well as Elliot York, can't leave him out, wanted to come on the show tonight, but unfortunately he's busy looking like a pepperoni pizza. We do all the bike stuff, and it's brilliant stuff. So go and check it out.
And also you can find me on Twitter if you really want to, at Ed Hocknell. Yeah. Nice and simple.
Fantastic stuff. And your social media stuff, Kiko?
At MotoGP Kiko, if you have any interest in bikes. If not, don't bother. If you want to follow the Pit Crew Online, it's at @pitcrew_online. Kiko Alexander Giles on Facebook, or you can find out my email address from all sorts of people, kikokg61@gmail.com. But of course, Twitter.
You don't have to get your personal email out, I suppose.
No, I don't care. I just get spam through off voucher.
Kiko gets lonely.
He wants for £77 in Nottingham, or I can have 3 teeth pulled out for half the price of what it normally cost me.
So get in touch with Kiko is the main. They've got a
brilliant bargain on there.
Good God.
At the dentist. You know when you have your teeth...
A bargain at the dentist?
Yeah. You know when you get your teeth taken out, you get pain-free.
Yeah, okay.
Look at it.
Okay, thank you for that.
Right.
Right. So, listen, the music's on, which means it's the end of the show. Thank God. Thank you to Ed and to Kiko, who's been on the show. Thank you very much for tuning in as well. And we will be back this weekend for the easier Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship live from Wilton Mill, and Kiko Alexander Giles, and maybe some other people as well. Maybe Ed might be back again if he's not sick of us already for next week. But in the meantime, do check out the website motorsport.radio. Thank you and goodbye.
Motorsport Radio, the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.